Hi there, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Dannah McKellar Ntaka, and I'm here with you today for my segment called Let Me Show You How. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of some of my PPE so that you can hear me clearly. I'm just getting out of a worship service, and I wanted to come over to the garage that I rent to show you guys some tips on how you can get your garden going. Any excuse that you can think of, I have a remedy for that excuse. So give me a moment, let me take off my Sunday go to meeting jacket and get on a more suitable jacket for doing some yard work. I always keep myself covered nicely whenever I'm dealing with chemicals and things outside. Number one, there are mosquitoes out at this time of the year, and you don't want any splashes or anything to happen to you. We have two goals for today, and the first goal is to show you how to set in some herbs for your indoor herb garden, or if it's going to be out on your patio. You can even transplant it into a 3x3 or a 5x5 square plot in your yard if that's what you want to do. But many people say, oh, I can't garden because either they've never done it before, they don't think that they have a green thumb. So I'm coming to you from the scientific point of view, as well as the fact that my grandfather and great-grandfathers were farmers in East Texas, and that's all they did full-time. They ran a successful agricultural business that provided food for grocery stores from as far south as Houston, as far north as Nebraska, and as far west as California. So my family comes from a rich farming and agricultural background, and I'm here to show you some of the tips. Today we have Bonnie plants, and I like Bonnie because she's been around since 1918, and this particular company does not use any GMO seeds to get their plants started. So here I have some sweet basil, and a lot of people like basil for their Italian dishes, or any dish. I like to throw a basil or a bay leaf over into my collard greens. This is rosemary. Doesn't have too strong of a fragrance, but really, really love rosemary. Just want to do two today. And for people who say, oh, I don't have all the right supplies, I want to show you that you can take a leftover dish from any to-go place that you like, rinse that out, and then you have a temporary planter. Here I have some organic bananas that started to get a little bit soft for me to use, and whereas I would normally pop them in the freezer and use them for smoothies, I didn't because I wanted to save these for my compost. So if you've never composted before, composting is a great way to cut down on the amount of garbage that you have. Now, for people who live in a major metropolitan area or city, a small town in the suburbs, you don't have those issues of paying for trash, or hopefully you won't. But for people who live in a rural area, it's a necessity for them to recycle and separate plastic from glass and cardboard, because the cardboard is biodegradable. You can either burn it or you can just rip it up, place it in your compost heap, and allow science to decompose and take everything back to the dust from whence it came. So I'm going to start out with just a layer of dirt. And you know what, that's a little heavy, so I'm just going to get something, I'll be right back, get something to scoop it with. And this little temporary cup looks just as good as anything else. So we're going to start by coating the bottom. And this is just a clear tote. Some people like a dark container, but I opted for the clear so that you and your children and your grandchildren can see inside, kind of like an aquarium, and see exactly what's happening when worms begin to come in and help to eat the fresh fruit that we throw in. It's going to decompose and break it down. That's a fun process. So I'm just going to continue to line the bottom with probably 2 inches worth of this soil. And this is the Stay Green brand for flowers and vegetables. And you want to be really generous with coating this bottom layer, because the next layer is going to be the layer of fresh fruit and vegetables. Now let's talk a little bit about what can go into, your compost heap. You can use clippings from onions, apples, bananas, no meat products, no dairy, except for the eggshells, because they too will break down, and the nutrients from the eggshell will help make great soil. Just to make sure it's coated well enough, I'm going to do one more layer. And just so you see how that looks. It could use a little more, but we'll start there. You use your own judgment when you get ready to do your compost. So I have this 5 or 6 bananas that are getting soft, and I'm going to shake out every bit of the juice, every bit of everything that's in there, and neatly fold it up. Whenever you're gardening or doing any project, you always need to have something to dispose of your refuse, your waste. Here's another bag of clippings. If you're out with your children and you're having a snack in the park, as opposed to littering, just have a little bag and be able to take it with you when you go. This makes great fertilizer. Now, it's not going to smell that great in a couple of days, but here we go. Dump that in there. And the next thing that we'll do is to add another layer.